Can speak to the business leader and founder of Phones for You, John Caudwell, who's a Conservative Party supporter and donor. I think you gave something like £500,000 to the Conservatives ahead of the last general election. Are you disappointed with what you've seen and heard about this Downing Street party?
Yes, I am, absolutely. I'm disappointed on quite a few aspects of the government's performance over the last couple of years. There's been lots of things that I've been critical of. There's been lots of advice I've tried to give them. But this does seem a bit bizarre that they should have a set of rules for the population of the UK and then break the rules themselves. And of course, it's terrible, really. It's terrible when your leaders don't lead by example. And in this case, it appears that they've broken the law as well.
You have said, sort it out, Boris, or step aside and let somebody else sort it out so the Tories are not wiped out at the next election. Do you fear that this is going to have, from a Conservative Party point of view, huge electoral consequences? Because it has what the pollsters call cut-through, because people feel this quite viscerally.
Well, I think, first of all, it's right to say that the electorate have very short memories. And if everything comes back good in the UK, if we get through this COVID epidemic and people are back into prosperous jobs and the economy is doing well, all this will be forgiven and forgotten. But I really don't like government performing in any way that's not ethical and moral. And of course, as we know, most governments don't on regular occasions. And for me, that's quite sad.
You've accused the Prime Minister's, well, you've talked about the Prime Minister's perceived arrogance and hypocrisy. I mean, you've been using, for a Conservative Party supporter and donor, you've been using some pretty strong language.
Well, I have not accused the Prime Minister of that. I won't accuse anybody. All I'm saying is that within government, there is an area of hypocrisy, rule breaking and arrogance. How can they have a party for 100 people when other people are told you can only meet one person in a great big park? It doesn't make any sense, and it's just wrong and bad leadership. But I'm certainly not accusing Boris of that. I don't know where the fault lies.
And Mr. Johnson has said we should wait for Sue Gray's inquiry, the civil servant who is leading the inquiry into this party and other parties, around 9 parties altogether, we are told, in government. Are you prepared to wait for that inquiry to come up with its findings, or should we be getting answers from the government right now?
Well, I think there's 2 issues here. I think the first thing to do is that we should be waiting for a proper result here that's well thought through, well understood and well investigated. But there are much bigger issues that this country faces. We do need ethical politics. And that's one of the things that really disappoints me about politicians over and over and over again, not just in this country, I mean, especially in other countries, actually. I think our country is one of the most stable and ethical countries in regard to political behaviour. But I really dislike behaviour by our leaders and the people who rule us that is not whiter than white, not ethical and not correct. So, but we do have massive challenges to face. And I still think the Conservative Party are the best party to lead this country. But we really need to sort this out. And so what I said is, please, Boris, sort this out, get your party back in check and make it an ethical and correct party to do all the things that are needed within British society to make Britain a fair and level society.
And if you deem that he doesn't or hasn't sorted it out in the future, would you then stop giving money to the Conservative Party? In other words, at the next election, if he's still the leader and in your view he hasn't sorted out all of this, you wouldn't give him or the party any more money?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that I'm not a normal political donor. I've only donated once, and that was because I felt the Tories were the party to get Brexit done. I felt that the Labour Party was such a shambles, it would be a fiasco if Labour came to power. So I donated to the Conservative Party in specific situations. That doesn't mean I would donate again, but nor does it mean I wouldn't. I will donate to any party that I believe can keep the great in Britain, can put in all the correct practices, and can run with the greatest degree of ethical behaviour. From what I've seen of the Tory party just recently, that would certainly not mean that I would be a donor again. But I just want them to get their act together, get sorted out. If they've made these mistakes, put the mistakes behind them. If heads have to roll, then heads have to roll. But let's have a proper, ethical Conservative Party running the country, and then maybe I would back the party again.
All right, John Caudwell, thank you for your time. John Caudwell there, who, as we were saying, has donated to the Conservatives ahead of the last election. Thank you so much.